masters of speed. This is Formula One.
Hello there, so let's get this Zandvoort wet setup, or inters and wet setup, out of the way. Right, before we start, there is always a rule when coming onto an inters or a wet surface. So you take the dry setup, which is exactly what I've done here. If it's inters, which is green tyres, you plus everything by 2. You can't plus the front wing, but you can plus the rear wing. Obviously, the front wing is maximum downforce around Zandvoort. It's just the nature of the track. You need as much grip and as much downforce as possible, especially through the long right-hander Skyflock is it, and not just that, the middle sector is quite a twisty, turny part of the circuit as well. So if it's an inters, you plus everything by 2. That's on the wings. If it's a wet, which is the blue wall tire, you plus everything by 4. So if it was a wet circuit, I would take this to 46 because the dry setup was 50-42. So I've gone inters 50-44, wets 50-46. But for the sake of this video, I've set the car up for inters. Onto the transmission, I've gone a 20 on diff, 20 off diff, and again I've stuck with 100% engine braking. I've got a race. A league race coming up in the middle of this week at Zandvoort, and depending on whether it's wet or dry will depend on what setup I use. But it is absolutely important that you keep the engine braking high, simply because what I have noticed is that it's very difficult to recharge the battery if you somehow lose the DRS train, and that's just through practicing. Obviously you don't have the DRS in the wet weather conditions, whether it's inters or wets, so you just need to be mindful of that. Use your battery sparingly. Onto the suspension geometry, I've gone with left 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 left. It decreases drag. It's the meta at the moment, and until it's fixed, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then onto the suspension, I've gone with the 41 front suspension, 8 on the rear suspension. Nice and simple. Front anti-roll bar of 15, rear anti-roll bar of 10. You don't need the roll bars as stiff in wet weather conditions. You want to increase more body roll. And then I've gone with the front ride height of 24 and a rear ride height of 60, simply because you don't want to be hitting puddles if there are any on the surface, and aquaplaning. That's just exactly the same. You'll get the same sensation as if you've locked the tires. And for those of you who don't run ABS off, just turn it off and try it and see how you get on. But that sensation will be the same. And then I've gone with a rear ride height of 60 to try and help combat the porpoising. Porpoising is extremely bad around Zandvoort, especially the long left-hander DRS at the end of sector 3. So yeah, you need to be careful of that. And if your car is too low, you can actually spin there, especially in ultra wet conditions. Blue tire. Onto the brakes. There's not very many braking zones around Zandvoort. Turn 1, then the rest is pretty much flat out. Well, it's not flat out, it's lift off rather than braking, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, 98 on the brake pressure, 54, and then max pressures. This has been Zandvoort. I really hope it helps you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do all that good stuff. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, have a good weekend. Take care. Peace.